One of the first major steps that you do not want to skip is logistics. Logistics is, in this case, a fancy word for being prepared. It's you knowing what the program is, the scale of it, the type of program, and talking to the people who are in charge of this program. Because not every program that you're going to be setting up AV for is your program, and you might not know all the details to them. And so you need to communicate with the person who is running this program, this event, so that they can tell you the details so that you know how you can serve during this event. Now, what you can do once you do find this out is ask questions like, what type of program is it? And what scale of it? Now, when I say scale, I mean how big or how small. And you can measure this by the amount of students the program is aiming to get and the amount of budget that's being put into this. Now, all of this are just some factors you can take into consideration, but it's not the only way you can kind of identify how big a program will be. Now, it's not just important to take in consideration the size of the program, but also the type of program. Music plays a different role in a lot of different programs. A question you can ask yourself is, how present does music need to be in this program? Does it need to be very loud? Will there be people dancing? Will there be passive activities? Or is there going to be a lot of communication? Is there going to be a presentation? Does music need to be more in the background than right in the front as a focus? A great example is Dia de los Muertos. Dia de los Muertos is probably one of 3 of our biggest events. Now, this event is all hands on deck. You have everyone working. You have basically all of your AV equipment out there. And people are dancing, and there's a lot of activities, right? Some of you probably already been to one of these events. Now, music needs to be present almost all the time. Well, there's people in line getting food, and then there's people doing art, and then there's performances. You have mics that need to be used for all these instruments, right? AV is at the forefront at this event when it comes to building the atmosphere. And so in this case, this is a large event where music needs to be present, right? In another case, you have an event where someone is giving a presentation on how students should manage alcohol, or like how to be safe. And then you have the police department, for example, that's giving some lessons on safety. Music may not even be there, or music may be very slightly present, like a cocktail or like elevator music, right? So that's an example of music being more in the background instead of the focus. So this is the first part of logistics. It's knowing the scale and the type of program, and then you having an insight so you know what equipment you'll need to serve this event. Now, the second part of logistics is who from the team is going to be setting up, who from the team is going to be tearing down, and who's going to be present if needed, right? And so this is something the AV team needs to organize amongst themselves. Again, there's a communication that needs to happen here. Now, will you be alternating every other event, or will all of you guys be there? For example, Dia de los Muertos, that requires everyone there. So for the AV team, most likely, all of you are going to be setting up and all of you will be tearing down, and most of you will be present. And so in this case, all of you would be there. But there may be a smaller event where not all of you are required to be there, and so who's gonna take charge of this event and who gets to stay or who gets to leave? This is something you guys need to communicate. This is something you'll have to talk amongst yourselves. And then how will people reach out to you if they need AV at their event, right? And so all of these are logistics. It could be a Google form, it could be a Discord channel, it could be a group chat. You can assign someone within the AV team, and then they can receive all of these requests and relay the message to the team. It's up to you how y'all work and how this works best for you. Now, the last step to logistics is, how do you get into this room? Now, this is the AV room where we have all of the equipment, which we'll introduce in another module, but this is the card that you want. It may look like this, it may look like a different one, but you go to a Google Sheet that's called Checkout, and you fill out the information. You go to whoever's at the front desk that day, and then you tell them that you want to check out this card because you need access for an event. So it's pretty simple. We'll be going through this more, and we'll be having some practice with all of this, but this, for the sake of this module, is just introducing that you need an ID just like you would to get to your building or your room. we need to keep this equipment safe, and so it needs to be enclosed in a room where we need to ask access for it. This is pretty much it for logistics. You have knowing the size and the type of event that you'll be serving, and you do this by communicating with either people within your group because you're part of this committee for this event, or other people who are in charge. And then second, who will be working this event, right? Who will be setting up, tearing down, or there if needed. And then lastly, how do you get to this room? How do you get access to all this fancy equipment so they can go out there and set up and tear down?